So wait, the cavemen came first. They didn't open with a gecko?
Yes, Ian, the cavemen came first. Yes, that is.
Asshole.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and this week I'm joined by fellow Baffle Cappers Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Ian Whittington.
I just choked on my teeth.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Indeed, you did choke on your tea. Indeed, you did.
Indeed, you did. Yes, I did.
What's in that tea, Ian? You're in a mood this morning.
Liquid.
Okay.
No, everyone's going to think that I just turn up to these shows drunk because it's 4 p.m. 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's true. It's one of my favorite jokes in Being the Ricardos, which there are a lot of great jokes in the Sorkin. I love some of the humor that he puts into his stuff. But, there's somebody asks the actor who J.K. Simmons is playing in this, who plays Fred on, I Love Lucy. Said, "Are you drunk? It's 10 o'clock in the morning." He says, "Well, it's 10:05 somewhere."
Nice. I love it.
It's so perfect. It's so good.
There was one. I don't remember. We were talking on Slack or something, and it was like 11 o'clock here, and somebody said, or Ian said something about. I don't remember. There was something where I either thought about this or I said it, but I was like thinking it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Oh, it's actually 5 o'clock in England right now.
Yes, it was.
I thought that was
I think I was talking about wine or something, and you were like,
yeah.
Guys,
Somebody said it was
it's
early.
like midday. And I was like, not for me.
That's right. Well, we're excited. We've got another week's content to chat with you about and go over. So let's get inside it. We'll kick it off with the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sending them, how we felt about the stuff we are sending in general. Commercial Sins Land had Geico Cavemen commercial. Jeremy writing this one. I'm always curious, so I'll start with you, Ian.
Mm-hmm.
Did Geico have cavemen ads in the UK? Do you even know what Geico is?
So I thought it was pronounced gecko, and I just assumed that like the mascot was going to be a gecko. So I had no idea.
Yeah, well, that is.
Wait, that's funny because there is a gecko that.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Their mascot is now a gecko. Yes, yes.
Oh.
Even though it's pronounced Geico, their mascot is now a gecko.
The Geico
yes.
gecko.
Mm-hmm.
I should have stuck with that instead of the caveman because this shit is dumb.
Well, they eventually did.
They did. That is their current mascot.
So wait, the
is a
cavemen
gecko.
came.
Yeah.
They didn't open with a gecko.
Yes, Ian, the cavemen came first. Yes, that is.
Asshole.
Let me explain to you something. These cavemen proved to be so popular.
Oh no.
There was a network primetime sitcom made about them. It didn't last long.
You are kidding.
It did not last long.
The two actors, the same two actors.
I don't even know.
Or just they pinched the concept. That's so dumb.
Believe me, I never watched the show. I never paid attention to the commercials.
They didn't pinch the concept. They got paid for it. Like, it was definitely based on the Geico Cavemen.
And Firefly didn't get a second season.
Right, yes, exactly.
Well, the Geico Caveman show didn't get a second season either.
Yeah, it barely got a second episode.
Nice.
But
I wonder why. My goodness. Yeah, so we don't, to my knowledge, we don't have Geico over here. And this commercial is dumb and not funny. Which is really hard to sin. It's actually really hard to sin something that is this not funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we did.
It was called Cavemen. There are, I don't know if it lasted this long, but there are 15 episodes that were filmed.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I don't know if all of them aired, but yeah, it was in 2007 and 2008. It does look like it might be the same people, but I don't know for sure. Because those could be the creators of the concept, too. I have no idea.
That's ridiculous.
It's so weird. Commercial mascots are the weirdest thing. Like, whether it be... what's her name? The progressive lady, Flo,
and that's been going for what, 2 decades now,
Jared,
or something? I mean,
all of a sudden is like the mascot for Subway.
That turned out well.
Yeah, that worked well for everybody involved. But yeah, so
the equivalent, I think, the strangest, most successful one that we have over here is there's a website called Compare the Market, and I don't know if you have that in America at all.
No, not that I know of.
So
at least
their mascot became a meerkat. And the original joke was that people kept visiting comparethemeerkat.com instead of compare the market, and this meerkat was getting really pissed off. That was 20 years ago, and it is still their mascot. They have just run with it, and there's toys. Like, zoos started to have to expand their meerkat enclosures because the meerkats became so popular. This commercial just took off, and that's why you have mascots, because it does shit like that.
Totally. Well, you look at the like the Energizer Bunny, right? Like that now just seems like a battery mascot, but it was a commercial. Yeah. It was a commercial.
They never need to change that.
In the 80s, early 80s, I think, and it's still like their mascot now. Like,
because they would show another battery, I guess, that had died, and then the Energizer Bunny would come across the screen, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It would be in a race.
Then they did a series where they did like completely random parody commercials for other things. And then the Energizer Bunny would come across the screen at the end. It's just...
There was never an Energizer Bunny show that I'm aware of, though.
That would make sense, honestly.
There was a Rubik's Cube cartoon.
Okay.
What did it do? Was the Rubik's Cube the thing?
It was like a Scooby-Doo ripoff, because everybody in the early 80s was like ripping off Scooby-Doo. So it was just like, it was like a group of kids in a Rubik's Cube, and they like solved mysteries and stuff.
Yeah. Anyhow...
Perfectly normal.
Ian, other thoughts on this Sins video or this commercial?
That's Cro-Magnist. Just made me chuckle. I like that. I like a little simple one. But it's so hard. Like, there's so little to say about it, because the narration sums it up with, that's it. Was that your joke? And you're waiting for the next bit of the joke to happen. And it just doesn't. One of them orders food, the other doesn't. And the salesman apologizes for not researching cavemen. I was like, you could have done so much more with this. Like, it is a quirky idea, but you just decided, this sells itself. No, it does not.
Well, it's also weird because I don't know where this commercial falls in the progression of the Geico Cavemen commercials, because some of them were funny. Listen, something like this doesn't take off like it does unless some of them actually work and are funny. This one is not. It's I kind of wonder where it falls in the whole progression. Jonathan, what are some of your thoughts?
I just assumed it was the first one, but maybe it's not. I have no idea.
That's what I assumed too. It just
doesn't it?
Yeah.
But no, just everything. Just echo what Ian was saying. Because the one I wrote down was that research on cavemen still existing. I suppose you guys know a T-Rex too, right? And then I just like the my college geology class called it "Once It's Boring Back."
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Which
I had that one too.
And now I hope my college geology teacher listens.
Oh no,
I had a great college geology teacher. Yeah,
I did too. He's a really nice guy.
I did not find this commercial funny. I honestly don't remember when these commercials came out if I thought they were hilarious. I think it's been over a decade, right? Since they've done the Caveman thing.
That show was 2007, 2008. That was kind of probably toward the end of it.
So yeah, I wonder how early they were, but I definitely remember them. To me, it's like anything they do in these commercials is like the discount caveman lawyer on SNL, that, like all this idea of I'm a caveman, but I'm operating in the normal world and doing it kind of normally was already done. It's
yeah.
And
I have an iPhone.
That was Phil Hartman, right? Like, I mean, you're not going to top that. So yeah, I don't remember it being something that I genuinely enjoyed.
It's missing the fun part of the fish out of water story. It's like these guys are just.
Well, I think that's kind of supposed to be the point.
But they seem to know what's going on.
Supposed to be funny.
Yeah, but they know the world that they live in. So they've completely missed the point.
So at least with, Caveman Lawyer, like that is the whole thing of that is like he's a caveman, but he's totally adapted to modern society and he's a lawyer now. But he could use in his, his lawyering, like, I'm just a simple caveman. So what do I know? That kind of thing. Yeah. So the humor kind of comes from there. But yeah.
2004 was when it started.
Wow. Well, there you go. 15, 16 years ago? 18 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, 2022. Oh, Happy New Year, everybody.
Hey, Happy New Year. I think we're into the new year officially now. All right. So yeah, you guys mentioned everything that I had written down from the video. Funny stuff. All right, let's move into TV Sins. We did the final episode of the first season of What If, and yes, we still know we're missing an episode. Thank you to all those in the comments who continue to ask about it.
This isn't right. This is weird. It's going to be so weird doing the 7th episode last. Why would we do that? Where's Gamora?
Why would we ever do that?
Where is Gamora's episode?
So yeah, what if the Watcher broke his oath is the name of it. Jonathan and I writing on this one. Jonathan, I'll let you kick it off. What are some of your thoughts as we kind of finish up the season of What If?
Yeah, I mean, I guess not much different than what I said last week. I mean, these final 2 episodes obviously made us realize that all this was connected, and they had a plan. Although one episode we never saw, so I don't know how she fit into everything. But is it Gamora that?
Yeah.
Is that the episode?
Yeah, there was a Gamora episode. Yeah, with the Infinity Stone Crushers and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so because I remember thinking like this doesn't make any sense. Where did these come from?
Right. Yeah.
So that's really odd that they chose to keep all that in. Do we know why they didn't air that episode? Or you said they've been kind of quiet about it, right?
Yeah, I don't think they've officially said. I think my instinct is that it must have had something to do with contractual agreements, but or not being able to get the some sort of person in to voice or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird.
But it was a perfectly fine series, I guess. I'm curious to see what they do next. I don't know that I've put it high on my list, but I'm not stoked about it. But it's fine. It's definitely not anywhere near the worst thing that the MCU has done. As far as the sins, I like just stopping a living planet this easily. Like it just comes in. It's just like, oh, you're done. Sending the episode for tricking the narrator into admitting they watch Big Brother, I thought was really funny. And then just the shoehorning Steve Rogers. We had a couple of sins about that. Like, well, surely they're not going to. Damn it.
Yeah. And it ends with, like, this post-credit scene is great.
The whole season ends with a Steve Rogers' back credit scene. Like, can't you catch a break?
I also, my favorite was that, like, the Doctor Strange says to Captain Carter, well, the same thing, got us both love. And then the sin was, is love the code name of the super soldier serum? Because what happened to Captain Carter was the super soldier serum.
That's great.
I just thought all that was funny.
Yeah. Fun stuff. I really enjoyed writing on this series. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm excited to do more of this in the future if they bring it back, which it sounds like they are. Yeah. And in fact, that episode that's missing, it sounds like they're going to either debut it between seasons or make it a part of season 2. So I think we will eventually get to see that Gamora episode and possibly eventually send it. We shall see. But yeah, I think I ended up overall liking the show. Not loving it, but overall just kind of being like, this is fun. This is interesting. It had a lot of expectations for me to live up to. I was really excited about this show, just the idea. And it didn't do exactly what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to be a little more out there. To really take some big swings. And there are 1 or 2 episodes I think you could say are decent sized swings. And the rest of it is basically just, what if this person was this person? Oh no. And it's like, okay, well,
what if Steve Rogers was here?
This is not as much as what I was interested in. This episode, the biggest sin for me, and we certainly wrote enough on it, was including Killmonger in the Guardians of the Multiverse. Like the idea that the Watcher would, choose this is indicating one of 2 things that the show isn't telling us. Either 1, he is omniscient and knows exactly how all this is going to play out, and so he knows he needs Killmonger, which the show is not ever saying the Watcher is omniscient. In fact, it's saying quite the opposite at times.
It's disproved in the previous episode.
Right, yes, yeah. Or he's stupid. And it really is one of those 2 choices, right? Like, because why on earth would you pick Killmonger for this team? It makes no sense. So I love that we really emphasized that. I also love that we really took the episode to task for using the exact same overall plot as Endgame and Infinity War. Like, it is a group of superheroes trying to stop a being with all the Infinity Stones. Like, do we really need to repeat this idea? You can't think of some new thing. Can we please just be done with the Infinity Stones? We've played that out in its best form already. So yeah, I found that a little bit annoying in this episode as well. Ian, what are some of your thoughts?
I like the series. I'm exactly the same as you. I like the series. I don't love it. This episode did not do anything to help me love it at all. My biggest problem, Sin's video covers everything so well, but my biggest problem is why only 6 heroes? Why stop there? Why not flipping everybody. Like, just pull out the Avengers team that we see in Endgame, all of them, because this is the same problem. If anything, Ultron is more of a threat. So do a massive on your left and just animate the fuck out of everybody coming in. And if you're gonna lift from Endgame, lift the best part of it. Like, just rip it all off. My goodness, don't just con me. So yeah, really, really frustrating. And just Ultron, snap your fingers and turn them into bubbles like Thanos does with everyone. Turn them into wiggly woos. Like, you can, for the last time, bend reality, time, the fabric of space itself. Like, this is not any kind of matchup at all. So yeah, it's a tricky finale, because when you set up somebody so powerful that even the Watcher has a problem taking them down, pretty much anything else is going to be unbelievable. So yeah, it's tough, and I don't think they did it well. But the sins were great. When Thor says, doesn't everyone mess with... No, sorry, yeah, there's no messing with Vegas. Rachel, doesn't everyone mess with Vegas? Isn't that kind of Vegas's thing? Kind of is. It's kind of what you do. You are guardians of the multiverse, and at that moment rolled commercials so hard, I swear they just accidentally changed the title of the show. And that's such a great way of putting it, because I couldn't put my finger on why that was so... it was so cringy, and it's like, I know what you've done here, and it's not as clever as you think it is. And yeah, it feels like a roll commercials moment when it obviously isn't.
I'm still calling it. There will be a Guardians of the Multiverse show. Like, I mean, like that is, and if there isn't, it's definitely the intent here. You know, they hang a lantern on it so hard. So yeah,
they really do. It's such a just a swelling music moment. It's hard to avoid it. When they kind of get towards the end and T'Challa chimes in, it doesn't feel over. Everyone's reaction to the movie Dune somehow makes it into the script. I was like, that's just a sideswipe at Dune in a Marvel Sins video.
Right.
And I was kind of like, nobody wants to say it, but everyone's thinking it. I was like, this movie's great, but... Yeah. It's long. That was my thought.
There you go. What if the Watcher broke his oath? Moving on to the latest episode of Squid Game, Stick to the Team. This is the tug of war episode, I believe. Happens at the end of this. Or the overnight melee episode, if you prefer. Ian and I writing on this one. This is a weed eye. I don't know. Weedy. I don't want to salt it. Weed eye. No, that probably doesn't work. No. Weedy works better. Eat your Wheaties. No, not that. So anyhow, we wrote on this one. So Ian, I'm going to let you kick it off. What are some of your thoughts on Squid Game?
Yeah, I think this episode stands out as one of the most what the fuck episodes. Like, this doesn't add up. Like, so little of the logic follows here, from making the exact number of eggs, but somehow knowing that would definitely lead to somebody being greedy, which will then definitely lead to a fight, which the entire premise depends on. It's just a classic bad guy plan that relies on the bad guy being either omniscient or just relying on chance to come and save the day. I understand that a fight breaking out of some sort is inevitable, but it goes exactly how they want this fight to go out, and it just it's not right. So yeah, it just feels like it takes so long to get to the tug of war, which itself is really tense and really, really great. And you pulled out that visual of them being the first team that gets pulled off and swinging in the air, and somehow, even though it's all filled with death, it is a beautiful shot. Like, some of the stuff that's put on screen is really, really gorgeous. And the only thing that took the tension away was knowing that all of your main cast, other than some of the bad guys, are on that team, and the team that they're playing against is a bunch of nobody. So it's like, I wonder what's going to happen here. And you don't even want them to lose, because it's not like having a sudden twist that, yes, they all die would have benefited the show. No, because you're back to square one and you've got to rebuild a cast that you can relate to. So there was never any danger of them losing. But the biggest pile of nonsense is number one's explaining the rules. And I just couldn't get away from it, because they went, instead of doing the whole thing as narration and then you can shoehorn that into wherever you want.
Anywhere.
They deliberately start with him in the lift, starting the explanation. So you have a set amount of time aka a lift journey, to get this explanation done, and yet
he doesn't even start the explanation until the lift journey is over.
Yes,
like he spends the entire journey in the elevator setting up his bona fides.
Yeah, and it's bonkers. Like, we can actually measure. This is one of the rare times where we can measure the amount of time he has to say this, so we categorically know he didn't say it. It's baffling to me, absolutely baffling. But yeah, in terms of the sins, my favourite one to write was when Gihan is shouting at the screens after the man's been beaten to death, and that he's still surprised by the barrenness of the fields that should contain the fucks given by the people that run this place. It's just, it is baffling to me that he doesn't realise these are not nice people. Snakes on a pain in the arse. I've been holding on to that for a long, long time.
Nice. That always feels good.
That was so good. And player 69 can't do anything without his partner being involved. Nice. Because I missed that. And I was like, I'm so mad. It's one of those sins. I'm so mad I missed it, but so glad that you were there to pick it up.
Yeah. Well, initially, just, he was wearing 69, and I was like, we have to comment on that. There has to be a joke there somewhere.
Absolutely.
And then just the fact that it literally was his defining characteristic was, nope, gotta have my partner with me.
Nice.
Is the old guy number one?
Yes.
Yeah. Ilnam.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ilnam.
We haven't taken the chance to call him Will Riker or something. That's too bad.
Interesting. Well, perhaps we'll have more chances. Yeah. I'm really enjoying sinning this. I remember I watched all of this very quickly. There is an addictive element to this show and kind of what's going to happen. This isn't one of my favorite episodes, but it does have some of my favorite stuff. One of the fun things about rewatching this show is, I think the best thing about this show is the foreshadowing. I think this show is next level of planting subtle clues that you only pick up on rewatch. We highlight another one of those in this episode with number one, saying, shut it down. And then the guy listens to him and shuts it down because he's the boss.
Entirely. Like, I just thought, oh, well, that's a bit lame. I missed that he was literally telling them to stop. It's beautiful. Yeah. So well done.
Yeah. And that I think is, as I'm rewatching these, what I'm discovering to be kind of the most intelligent part of this show, at least, is that the foreshadowing is really, really good. But yeah, you mentioned some of the other things that I wanted to talk about. The overnight killing spree being one of them. Just how weirdly different it is than all the other games, right? So there's a fine line we try to walk between, what is argumentatively possible, and certainly I think we touched on some of what wouldn't be possible or shouldn't be, or depends too much on luck, like you said. But then there's also this just feels different than everything else part of it, where it's like, this is very much the purge. This is the idea of the purge, is just let people kill each other, kind of thing, where every other part of it is this ordered game, gamifying death kind of thing, and following the rules. And so, I think drawing attention to that was good. You already mentioned the speech, which you're right, is just wild that he somehow gives that speech in some sort of, alternate paused time, space, dimension.
Unreal.
Strange. And then I just wanted to mention a couple others. The line in the show is, go sit somewhere in a corner, come lights out, don't make a noise. If I hear you breathe, then I'll come for you. And then the sin is just turkey basters. I just love how, if you know, you know, and that's all we need to say.
That's great.
So, and then that's escalated quickly. And I think I will put that one in the bag for any time people are just all of a sudden having sex after just meeting each other, because that's fun. So,
Fellatio Overachiever was on the back of that. Was great.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the rest of this. I've only seen up to this point. I think this is probably my least favorite of the first four, but this is the fourth, right?
Yes.
I think this is the fourth episode. Yes.
And I don't know, but I think a lot of it was just the overnight melee and stuff. That didn't really interest me for whatever reason. Like, I couldn't get on board with that. And but no, it's fine. I mean, I think all the points you guys are making are just. As far as the sins, storing your penis and your cigarettes in the same location, which kind of goes off of this escalating quickly. Counting this slow because you're waiting for the camera to catch up, I thought was really funny. Because, that is a good point. And then did you guys already talk about the advice, like where he tells her that she should join them? Because did I miss you guys talking about that?
No, I don't think we mentioned that. No.
Yeah, I thought that was a great point where I can't remember her name, but the girl, the thief, the one that took his money in like the first episode, he's talking to her and he's basically saying, you don't have any other options of team to join, so you should definitely join ours. And then the sin was, this could be the worst damn advice ever given in the history of television. An absence of options does not mean you default to trusting whoever happens to be in the room. Which I thought was a really valid
It's so true. It's such a faulty piece of logic that he's expecting him to follow.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That is Squid Game. Stick to the team. Let's move into CinemaSins. We'll kick it off with Meet the Robinsons. It is a Hughes Whittington script. Danae and Ian writing on this one. Danae is not here, but she wanted us to pass along how much she loves this movie.
Oh, no, don't do it.
Thinks it is just one of the greatest films ever
she thought
put to celluloid.
You know, just the way they portrayed parents,
authority figures. Just the authority figures were so lovable in this movie. She wanted to make sure people knew that.
So loving and caring.
I'm having no part of this.
Look, it's Danae. Oh, hi, Danae.
No.
Didn't know you were here.
No. No, I can only listen to that for so long. Yeah, this movie, it triggered me on a lot of levels. And then we were talking about it before the show started, and then I was like, no, I can see their point too. So I don't know how to jump into this conveation. Actually,
no, don't let them back you down. No,
you hated this movie. You can
wrong.
hate this movie. Yeah.
No. I don't want to go too hard at it. I felt bad. I felt like maybe I was it was too much potentially. Like I was being too much. So, I loved this movie. Thank you.
If you don't, I will.
No, I'm excited to talk about this. I watched this movie with Ian when he was in the US, and so we had the privilege of watching it together, and being confused at the same time and concerned at the same time.
And I fell asleep.
He did.
Towards the end, like the last 10 minutes, I woke up and the credits were rolling, and I was like, that movie ended really strangely. I was like, yeah, you missed the last 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where I was like, I think he's really tired and should sleep, and I'm pretty sure there's nothing here to watch anyway.
Yes.
Yeah,
but it's also Ian's. Like, he didn't want you to know he was asleep. He's like, I was
so
not sleeping. I was watching
This
this.
is so true. Nobody must know that I'm unconscious.
Yeah. So this movie, I didn't know what to expect on this one. Did you know anything about the premise of this
All I
story
knew
at all?
was I remember the trailer vividly because it has the funniest line in the film, which is the dinosaur, like someone shouting at the dinosaur, and they're going, I have a giant head and tiny arms, and that got me. But then the word of mouth on the film was so poor that I was like, nah, it's not worth the 90-minute commitment to see something I saw in the trailer.
This is like right before Tangled, right? Isn't this like a year or two before Tangled? Because Disney was kind of struggling at this
2007?
point. If that,
I think.
So it's a year before Iron Man. I mean, it's like Disney's going to come back in a big way very quickly. But like at this point, this is like Chicken Little, Home on the Range. This is like all that kind of era.
Yeah.
Where there was like the post 90s boom, Treasure Planet, stuff like that just wasn't doing well. So.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the story. I didn't know what Meet the Robinsons meant. So my first watch was genuine and true. What the fuck is going on? What is this movie? And so as the movie begins to tell you what it is, and then it hits into that moment whenever he goes into the Robinsons' future, and we're seeing like strange things happening all the time and strange inventions, and that sequence where like the frogs are singing and there's a sea creature answering the door, and then there's two men heads with potted I didn't know if they were actually just heads in plants, and that was part of like, because we don't see those people ever again. Like I think that they actually live on the porch in the potted plant and potentially are just part of the flora and fauna.
Who invented them?
It's just bonkers. It was bonkers. And maybe in a good way when you're a kid, but when you're an adult and you're going, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's happening. What universe is this? like you were talking about, Jonathan, if this is like a Chicken Little thing and I'm watching like if I'm watching animals, an animal movie, then I'm going to live in a universe where animals can talk and that's fine. But up until he gets into the future, I thought we were in like our world.
Yeah.
With
and
inventions.
The difference is only like 30 years. Like, how much changed in 30 years? That's insane.
Like, did he travel in his time traveling thing into the future where octopi are butlers and then bring one back? I'm really stuck on the octopus. I realize that.
Because he doesn't do anything either. Like,
he
it
answers the
doesn't.
door.
It answers the door, and it's like
No,
this big
he
ominous
saves the
thing.
day. Remember, he gets involved in the big fight, when they have to fight the Tyrannosaurus
Oh yeah,
Rex.
and then gets murdered. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Is it it's an actual octopus though, right?
Yeah.
It's not like
It gets
a
killed.
robot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the idea is that the little kid, the little girl that ends up being the wife later on, that she's kind of obsessed with frogs and she teaches them everything she knows, which somehow means that in those 30 years, she has designed, altered. So, there's just I have so many questions. But, based on your intro, I did get hung up a lot on how kid movies are really hard for me because that's like this, you're planting seeds into these tiny little minds that grow into being insecurities later. And in this movie, one of the big insecurities that I'm wondering that would be planted is, yes, you can you can mess up when you have inventions, and yes, you should mess up as much as you want to because it could turn into genius later and you can have a wonderful life with a family. But also there's so many moments when the adults turn their back on children in these really emotional ways. Like even the kid who's actually Cornelius's son, at one point in time, he messes up and the entire family turns their back on this person and walks away from them. Like, how traumatizing would that actually be to experience? And I know that what it's doing is it's trying to kind of like, that would scare the shit out of a kid. Like,
Because he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's a possibility that everyone in my family is going to turn their back and walk away and leave me abandoned.
Again?
And there's abandonment all through this movie. Like, there's just abandonment everywhere. So I liked seeing that a lot because I feel like we should be more responsible in the stories that we tell our children. But that's me as a new mom trying to evaluate every single decision I make every fucking day. So
that's you as a functioning human, and anybody that has a different opinion really needs to take a long, hard look about what movies they think we should put in front of our children. Isn't that right, Aaron?
Not my turn yet. Not my turn yet. Danae, did you want to say anything else about like the script or anything while you're here? Like, like any of the sins or any of that kind of stuff?
There were so many that I loved, but because I just decided to pop in here and not actually prepare anything, I don't remember sins off the top of my head.
How angry did you get about the letterboxes? Because I remember was yours, the mailboxes.
Yeah. Why do you have the mailbox open all the time? Why is that a thing? That's definitely something that annoyed me. There were so many. But here's what happens when you hate a movie. You don't want to remember it. This is Danae's version of reality. And we had several issues in editing. Like, we don't always have to watch our edits a lot. But in this one, there kept being these like little things that would happen, and it's no one's fault. Like, so we would miss something like there was an error on an upload. I had to watch this movie multiple times to sin it. And then I had to watch the edit more than I have ever had to watch an edit in the history of me working in this job. And I swear to God, I just want to put this to bed. So the fact that I don't remember any of it is probably part of my healing,
Yeah.
It's part of my healing.
Yeah. The earth is healing. The earth is healing.
So I'll just listen to what you guys have to say, and maybe one will pop into my mind.
Ian, you're up. You wrote on this. Tell me about your similar experience.
Danae covered it. Like this, the unsurprisingly, the thing that jumped out to me the most was the time travel and all kinds of bullshit that it is. And I was like, I get it, kids film, cartoon logic, whatever. Like running in the air for 5 seconds before you fall. I'm totally fine with that. Like, that's just cartoon physics. That's great.
Sure,
don't fuck with time.
But don't you mess with time travel, man.
Because there are set rules. You don't breathe oxygen backwards unless you're in Tenet. Like, there are set rules that you have to stick to. And especially in a kid's film, make the time travel understandable. or just, it doesn't even have to make sense, just stick to the damn rules. But this doesn't. Things happen when they want them to happen, and in the order that fits the narrative. And damn it, I would not have a narrative put before actual logic. So that's the thing that got on me the most, and just how terrible the lady that runs this orphanage is. She closed it and apparently left Goober in there.
Just alone, yeah.
Alone. Or he broke back in, but then where are the parents that he was given to? Or did they not figure that this would be the most likely place that he would run back to? The kid gets to like 19 and he's still there.
We didn't send this, but in like the future, we're in like the Meet the Robinsons future, and everything is kind of bright and colored, and then you look over and it's like the dark.
Yes.
Very clearly evil layer that's the old orphanage that hasn't been touched by any construction for 30 years, So, yeah, no one went back there for Goob. Nobody.
No one. You made this bad guy. He absolutely made the Joker. So that's what got to me the most. It's fun to look at, and I just wondered if is this made for like a Peppa Pig audience? Like, is this so young that I'm just not getting it, and I'm seeing it too much? Whereas something like Finding Nemo, you can get a lot from, no matter what your age. And I'm just looking at Aaron this entire time. I think you have to be an absolute, probably infant, to enjoy this film.
Some sort of serious Arrested Development issues if anybody likes this movie. Yeah, totally.
Oh dear. But yeah, so in terms of the sins, I loved, I think we opened it really strong with the pencil crafting sin. Just creating a story so early on behind not trusting the internet, and how that led to the death of 1,000 pencils as you try to experiment balancing it perfectly behind your ear, and the narrator taking great joy in that. The anaphylactic chasm between we don't usually eat peanut butter and holy shit, my airways.
Yeah, his delivery on that was really delightful. There's a difference between reading that on the script, just all these letters kind of together, and then hearing Jeremy, just bring it to life.
Good.
It's so fun.
Did you write that song?
Yes, yeah.
You like to do that thing with the because it was funny on New Year's Eve. Ian, of course, celebrated New Year's 6 hours before.
That is true.
Before
Both
we
are
did,
true. Yeah.
And so we jokingly sent him a text, like, what do we expect? And he was like, wait, run away from that, and then he just typed in that.
Yeah, it's terrible, don't come here.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just delivers better than words can.
But he wouldn't write ARG on the cave wall, like,
I think Danae did a great job of breaking down the peanut butter contraption helmet gun thing. I went straight past it and into the anaphylactic health issues, and they was like, nah, this shit don't make sense. As like, this time travel, forget about it. This peanut butter gun is some bullshit. But the way you crafted that was beautiful.
Yeah. I was also really proud of how I actually thought through some of the time travel stuff. Usually I just kind of like, whatever. But this one really bothered me. So I actually spent some time really thinking about it and drawing little charts on my stick-it notes in my room. Just kind of, how does this actually work?
It looks exactly like the chart from Back to the Future that Doc Brown draws. And I was like, oh, nice reference. And I was like, what reference?
What reference?
Oh no, this just organically came up. That's amazing. I bet you thought the B in PB&J stood for butter, because that sin goes by so fast you might just not realise it's a very naughty reference.
I think everybody realizes what it was.
Yeah, perhaps. And just a personal attack. I don't think Frog Sinatra deserved a rim shot. I think Frog Sinatra stands on its own as a great joke. It didn't need a...
It was so cheesy, it had to be added in there.
Frog Sinatra.
Oh, God. These people...
Well, I see what Ian's saying, though, because we've definitely told cornier...
Why are you singling out that one? Why is that any more of a dad joke?
That wouldn't even be like top 100.
Wow. Ouch. I don't know. Thank you, I think.
No, like corniness, not great level. Corniness
that was the goal.
Like deserving of a rim shot.
Yeah, okay. Well, now I feel like I'm glad that it got a rim shot.
Yeah, now you want the rim shot, don't you, Ian? My, how the tables have turned.
Can I just say that the original, like the first edit, we found a sounder for the rim shot, and it lasted, and So it was literally like the rim shot went ba-doom boom,
Yeah,
and it just
hung
faded
there.
out, and it lasted
kept-
so long, and it was long enough that I thought, is this one of those moments when we leave it in because it's such a trolly thing where everyone's gonna be like, when will this rim shot end? But it was it was slightly too short. Like it needed to be even twice as long to make it funny.
To get
What
the
is
third
that's-
and fourth wave of laughter.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. But then you're like, no, this is a really long script and we need it to end.
It's
so
already
we
35
shortened it
minutes. We need to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the very, very last one was the what's his name? Lewis would be the Ringo Starr at Orchestra Sins. Any opportunity I can get to take the piss out of Ringo Starr, I will. Ringo is the Hawkeye of the Avengers.
Yeah. That reminds me of a joke I heard somebody else tell that I desperately wanted to put in a Hawkeye script. I'll just say it here since we do not make a habit of taking other people's jokes and putting them in our scripts. We like to write our own jokes. So I will just say it here. But the joke he made was that somebody said Hawkeye was the Ringo Starr of the Avengers. And then the joke, the other person was like, no, I think he was pretty much the Yoko Ono of the Avengers. So it's like, wow.
It's so true.
Amazing. Yeah, I'll go next. Yes, indeed. I do love this movie. Now, granted, I haven't seen it since 2007. Let me give you a little bit of context of where Aaron was in 2007. I had an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. I was a parent of 4 boys from the ages of 2 to 8, and we loved watching this movie together. And yeah, so there is definitely that part of the context for me. I'm sure it doesn't make sense. I'm sure it doesn't hold up. But we laughed. I know the way the script handled the big head and tiny arms line had to happen because it is what almost everybody remembers from this movie because it's such a funny moment. So I appreciated that being brought to light. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. The other thing I remember about this movie, we went and saw it in the theater when it came out, and it was right during when it seemed like maybe 3D was just going to take off and be the thing. And this movie was one of the first 3D movies that we watched where it was like, oh, that's cool, because they did some stuff with like reflections and different things where the reflections weren't in 3D, they were flat. And yet, so it felt like a fully realized environment. So I do remember the 3D in this being really cool and less gimmicky, than a lot of the stuff that was coming out there was. So I do remember that about it as well. But yeah, I totally get that, I'm sure it doesn't, none of the logicals. For what we do, this is a perfect movie because there's so much to take apart for it. I am a bit surprised, Danae, that it didn't appeal to you in some ways because this feels to me like a movie you would write. Like you would be like, I want octopus butlers and singing frogs, and I don't care about the lot, this kind of.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It now that I've been through the movie, I'm still confused about how they got there, and I'm still got my adult brain on, but I absolutely would have loved this watching it when I was a kid. Absolutely. And if I was to write a children's movie, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That's what it's saying. Yeah, it has a little bit of Danae random sensibility to it. It's like, I don't care about the logic. Just bring me octopus butlers.
I would be concerned about them being out of water too long. We would probably spend some more time talking about that maybe. And then the people who are making the movie would be like, no, we can't spend that time because nobody cares. And then I'd be like, overrun. It would be a lot. It would be a process.
Yeah. You guys actually, I had 3 that I had written down, and actually you covered them all, Ian. So Jonathan, what about you? What are your experience with this?
I saw this when it came out, and I don't remember much about it. I mean, I guess I had some memories came back when I was watching the video. I remember liking it fine. I don't remember like loving it or anything, but I remember thinking that was fine. But I'm sure everything you guys are saying is very accurate because I don't think my daughter's ever watched this. I know I've never seen it again. As far as the sins, I honestly don't know what all you guys have gone through because I've been cutting out some because of weather here. And it sounded like Ian read the entire script.
Sorry.
But
I love it so much. This was a great video.
It's good. It's a really fun script. You guys did great on it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I did like the thing about not trusting food that's carried in the depths of robot intestines. I thought that was, Yeah, I don't know if this has been said. And then the other one, I don't know if it's been said, but the see kids be better at sports, and maybe, just maybe, that will make you worthy of love. I felt that.
I feel that in my core.
Definitely.
That is what school is based around, and it is some bullshit.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There is Meet the Robinsons. Danae, thanks for dropping by.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome anytime to
Thanks.
come and hang out on.
Thank you. It was fun to
however
see
much
you
you
guys
want
and
to.
hang out with you guys. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Go have some oranges from a
For
basket.
goodness sake.
All right, take a drink. Jonathan has referenced the outtakes.
Basket, you
Hey,
you
I
have
happen
the
to
same damn thing, but it's made out of wood instead of
And
plastic.
I went ahead and put in my breakfast burrito and some tater
Perfect.
tots. So
You're doing the right thing. You're doing breakfast right. Good lord.
There you go. There you go.
Breakfast at 11:30.
Beautiful.
All right,
It's 11:30 somewhere.
It's 11:35 somewhere. Let's move into Escape Room Tournament of Champions, an Atkinson-Watkins script. Watkinson script. So yeah, Jonathan, tell us about your experience with the Escape Room sequel.
I think I talked about this on Beyond the Sins when it came out, and I think I gave it like a slight recommend, because when I saw it in the theater, like I realized there were a lot of dumb things in it, but I kind of had fun with it. I had no fun with it. I mean, I had fun sending it, but like it was like I realized through this viewing, no, this movie is just terrible. I was very happy to be back at the theater. I think was why I like kind of
I
liked
can
it.
do a lot.
The first time, I don't know, this movie's really bad, and especially because the first one is so fun. Like the first one's not a great movie or anything, but it's a perfectly fun time at the movies, right?
Right.
It's kind of like this PG-13 Saw universe, and they're actually having to like solve these puzzles and stuff, and it's kind of fun. And it actually kind of, at least, I mean, there's a lot of illogic in the first one. I didn't do the sins on the first one. I think that was actually you and Chris, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think we did the first one.
Yeah, and I went back and watched that, and that was really cool because there was a lot to take to send from that. But at least in that one, like they're in the same like building that like the Minos Corporation. At least I can somewhat buy that they could, play around with this and have control over what happens. Whereas in this, like the very first thing is they take a subway car that they somehow get the exact people on they need to, and no one else, and they get that to work for their own benefit to get them to the escape. It's just it's insanity on so many levels. And I mean that goes beyond like it's a movie about a guy that creates escape rooms to kill people or whatever. But this is still like insanely ridiculous. And Chris wasn't kidding. Like when Chris says, I'm going to keep sending this until it stops pissing me off. There's like 5 or 6 we cut. I mean, we had so many sins just about that fucking subway car.
That's amazing.
And the fact that they're all on it, and it's just everything about that whole moment was crazy. But this movie's really bad. The other, I loved when the fuck did this happen on Previously on Escape Room? We're actually confused by that. And then I loved Chris saying, referring to the screenplay as being democratic with the number of lines everyone has, which is something I didn't notice, but he's right. And then he said this would be like if Led Zeppelin allowed John Paul Jones, John Bonham, and Jimmy Page to sing every other line of Stairway to Heaven. But my favorite was Chris wrote that thing about the Ben character, who is like probably one of the worst characters in the history of film in this movie. And one of the point in the sin, he says, "Pound sand, Ben," and then it cuts to the character saying, "Look, sand," and then after that, the narrator says, "You betcha, kiddo."
It's brutal.
That was one of those things when I read it, I couldn't really see it, but then when I was like, "Oh, that's beautiful." So
yeah.
This was very, very easy to say.
Yeah. Ian, what about you?
So I really, really enjoyed the first Escape Room. I went into it kind of negatively because, hey, escape rooms are big. Saw works. Let's do that and make a film from it. And it's a classic example of, the idea might be a bit dumb and predictable, but you can still make a good movie from it. Really, really enjoyed it. So this arrived, and I somehow managed to miss the trailer that it was even happening. It just turned up in theaters one day, and I didn't watch it. I was like, well, there's still like pandemic stuff happening, and I'm so glad I didn't, because based on the Sins video, this seemed like such a bad movie. Like, the sin that really sums it up is, it based it on Saw, but on Saw 5. Like, You picked the worst in the franchise and decided, yep, that's what I'll base my movie on. And is there a thing where there's 2 versions of this film?
Yes, I actually
I
have that.
know that.
I have that for keeping tabs.
leave
Okay, I
that
had it
until
later
then.
in the comment section, but there's definitely stuff to talk about there.
Yeah, I'd love to know more about that because that seems baffling to me. And filming new content for the previous film to make your film make sense is such a cheat. And I don't know why, because it's a story, tell it however you want. But for me, it feels like you can retcon whatever the hell you want, rather than doing the hard work of planning ahead and making something that's a really satisfying payoff later on. Wound me up. So yeah, you guys, right? It felt like we spent a good chunk of the Sins video in the train car, but rightfully so, because all of them, the gymnastics you have to do to remove the game from the plane and put it onto a train car. It's just like everyone's on standby and they're like, okay, Bale, she's not taking the plane. Bale, what are we going to do? Let's put it on the train. But we can't. Doesn't matter. Get everybody on the train. And somehow that works. It's bizarre. I have this, but man, I laugh so hard at this. I have this weird loyalty thing for people who saved my life. You said boner weird.
Yeah, I had that one.
The delivery on that was so good. The Google Maps thing that lets them know that there are bad guys in the alleyway just proves that somebody writing this doesn't understand how Google Maps works. Like, it's not a satellite uplink that refreshes every 24 hours. The car goes round like once every 10 years. Like, it's very rare that it's refreshed. The odds of them being spotted were astronomical. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
The effort that went into plotting the safe tiles in the laser bank, and I don't know who was responsible for that, but it's brilliant.
Chris.
That's incredible. That working out which tiles would be safe, and that the fact that he walked on the wrong one was absolute bullshit. It must have been so satisfying to spot that, and then it actually pay off and logically make sense. It's amazing. And I hear you. No, that was on a different script. Never mind. That's it. That's all for me.
Nice. I have very similar feelings as the two of you, and I think I think this is generally consensus, that the first one was a nice, pleasant surprise, a lot of fun, understood at least if nothing else, how to make the structure entertaining and compelling, right? I actually think not all of, some of the actual game escape room elements in the second one are better than the first one. I think some of the actual rooms are better in this one, but the narrative in the story and the logic is terrible in this. Like, it's just it's also so weird to do Tournament of Champions themed for your second movie. Like, this is such a great idea to do for, like, the 5th movie or something.
What if you'd had 3 films of different teams and you know all of these people? That would have been amazing.
And, like, you had the movie about the priest, and you had the movie about the people that couldn't build tanks.
And that was my main complaint coming away from this, is like, I want to see those other, those other escape room winners and what they went through, more than I want to see this, because this is just, it was just, everything was so forced and retrofitted and retconned, and it just doesn't work overall. And so it's not compelling, even though I loved some of the rooms. I thought some of the rooms felt more like actual escape rooms do, where, you're solving puzzles in a more escape room type way than in the first one. Because honestly, in the first one, and again, you can watch the Sins video, in the first one, there are multiple things you could do in most of those rooms that would completely negate, what they're trying to do, with the characters in there. So yeah, anyhow, I was really bummed, really, really bummed when I came out of this movie, just because I felt like not only did it squander this movie, it squandered this idea. And it's such a fun idea. And, will there be another one? I kind of hope so, but only if they can kind of get themselves back on track. Could it be a Fast and Furious thing where, after Tokyo Drift, all of a sudden they find their tone and their rhythm and understand what the movies they need to be? Maybe.
So you're hoping for the third film to be really, really bad, and so that the fourth one will be better. Got it. Yeah. Okay, good.
No, I hope they write the ship on the third one and really figure out this concept could be an incredible IP for them. But they totally squandered it here. So yeah, it was frustrating. I loved you can't really explain it, but it bothers me that they didn't capitalize off on slide 2 shut off, or simply decapitalize shut. Either way, go F yourself, smartphones.
I had to relook at the really script because I thought, was Aaron on this?
Yeah, that does sound like something I would do. They need 3 letters, and suddenly Theo spies a subway map with 3 missing letters on it, as if the movie is finally saying, we need to get on with this. Just loved that a lot. So yeah, great Sins video, terrible movie, unfortunately. All right, let's move into keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Ha ha! Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're each going to take a look at something else from the process of putting together the content for the week. Maybe a weird Google search, deleted sin, etc., etc. Since you already mentioned it, Jonathan, why don't you tell us a little bit about the extended cut of Escape Room Tournament of Champions?
Yeah, so there is, and if you get the Blu-ray or know somebody that has the Blu-ray, both versions are on it, and there's what's called an extended cut. It's really just a completely different movie. I think there is like 6 extra minutes when all is said and done, but
the ending is completely different from what I hear.
The beginning and the ending are very different. The middle section, for the most part, is the same, but the beginning and the ending are 180s from what happens, because in the and we debated doing the extended, but then we didn't know, we figured more people had seen this one, and this was the one that was released in theaters, so we decided to go with this one.
Well, interesting story. Just before you go on about that, when we reviewed this on Sif Pop, the guest that was on with us actually had watched the extended cut.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
And was really confused about some of our complaints. Like, just like genuinely, like, what is going on here? Like, did I see a different movie?
That's the one he was shown. Like,
yeah.
Huh.
So,
how did he even get shown that, I wonder?
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah,
that's crazy.
He messaged me later and was like, I think I figured out why I was so confused. It's like, because you saw a different movie. It makes sense. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's crazy. So in this one, it just starts off with kind of a recap of everything, and then it's the Zoe characters like in therapy. And then it ends at the end. The Deborah Ann Wall character comes back from the first one. That was never supposed to. That's not what happened in the. And I don't know why. I didn't read into like why they decided to change some stuff up. But in the original version, it opens with it kind of like a Saw movie, a Saw sequel. It opens up with an escape room scenario, and it's this woman is trapped in this sauna. And come to find out, that's the wife of the guy who kind of, I don't know if he created it, but he's like running the games. And that's a character played by James Frain, who's not in the theatrical version. And then his daughter is played by Isabella Furman from the Orphan movie. She played the orphan in Orphan. But anyways, so you have those characters, and so she ends up being kind of the daughter. Her name is Claire. She ends up being involved in this, and she's designing the games. And then there's a twist at the end with her character. And the end plays out sort of similar, but it's in a different location. It's in this location with the sauna. And instead of Deborah Ann Wall being there, it's Zoe and the Claire character. And then they have to rescue Ben and get away from her father, basically. So that's, I don't know. It's just interesting because, I mean, I don't know that it's better. I think it's a better, I mean, because you still have all the crap with the subway car. I mean, none of that's different. So you still have all these issues you have in this one. But the bookend maybe is a little more interesting than the what's in this one, because this one actually, like the extended cut actually kind of gives you more. I guess it depends on if you want to know more about the escape rooms and why they were created and stuff like that. I guess it depends on how much of that you want to know versus this movie, which basically tells you nothing. And then even ends on a scenario that the first movie ended on, right? With her in the plane and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. We had some comments about that. We had somebody was commenting Somebody commented, like, this isn't the movie I saw. The movie I saw was the guy who's running his daughter designed all the traps and tricked the girl to help free her. What is happening right now? Like, somebody was watching our video was very confused.
Crazy.
So I'm confused as to, like, what was actually, did some people get this cut?
They must have screened it
Maybe.
differently to get a conversation buzz, perhaps. There's a movie that's done that, haven't
possibly. I have no idea. Like, my understanding is that the extended cut was more the original idea and that they changed it. So that's very possible that both cuts were around, depending on, I don't know. So it's really strange.
Yeah, and they did. I mean, I think that's cool. I like, even though I don't really have any interest in owning this Blu-ray, I love when, this is one thing about physical media I love is when you get these, there's all these alternate cuts and you can just get them all on one disc. Because it is interesting to me, even if I don't like the movie, it's still very interesting to watch whatever the other version was.
Yeah, the creative choices that made it diverse.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I've never, I don't think I've ever seen one like this different. Like, I mean, you can tell me Blade Runner Director's Cut is different than the original, and it definitely is, because it, takes out narration. It does, but it's still basically the same movie. Like, this ends up being, almost a completely different film.
Alien 3 did that?
Really bizarre.
I think. Alien 3 or 4 did that and made an entirely different film. I think it's 3.
Yeah, well, Alien 3, David Fincher basically had the film taken from him.
Yes.
And there is what's called a work print. I don't think Fincher had anything to do with it, though, but there is kind of there's a print that's supposed to be a little more in line with what the original
both terrible.
Version
I've
was
seen
supposed to be.
2 versions of it, and they're both horrific.
They are. It doesn't make it any better. I have rarely found that I didn't like a movie and then I watched a different cut and all of a sudden I thought it was great or something. I've never had that happen, but I still find it interesting.
Well, the only one that's come close for me is Justice League, but that's cheating because it isn't re-edited, it's just unedited. It's just the entire 5-hour thing is just slapped in front of you.
You might be right, though. That might be the best example of, because you're getting a a different
You're
film.
You're getting a miniseries instead of a film, aren't you? It's definitely cheating.
Kingdom of Heaven is the example that a lot of people use of a movie that's made really, really superior by a director's cut.
I've heard that. I haven't seen either version of that, but I've heard that it's a lot better. The director's cut's a lot better than the theatrical. So
nice. Ian, what's about you?
Just the one this week, and it's Danae's daughter actually wrote a sin on Meet the Robinsons, which is incredible.
Nice.
So she joined us for a little bit. So me and Danae were watching the film together, and she joined us for a little bit. And there was some bits that we had to fast forward that were a little bit scary. And it's when we got to the point that Lewis's son, whose name I forget, drags him suddenly into darkness to go through the family portraits. And the entire place is dark, apart from they're lit and the portraits are lit. And Iris just says, "Why is it dark?" And I hadn't thought about that at all. I was like, "No, you're absolutely right. Why is it dark?" And just having this conversation with a 4-year-old, can you elaborate on that more? Why is this weird to you? And that eventually turned into the sin about how did they get the lighting so perfect when Jeremy can't even light himself properly for fan videos and stuff. And it was glorious. So that is, I think, the youngest person, obviously, to ever write a sin for us, and the honorary 7th member.
After I just said in this episode, we don't use other people's jokes. You used somebody else's joke.
Yep, we have stolen.
And a child at that. Taking advantage of a child.
We have stolen creative work from a 4-year-old, and this is something that's going to bite me in about 14 years when I get sued for it.
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was glorious.
Very nice. I wanted to talk about the lights, the player lights in Squid Game. Counting those was maybe the most invested I was in finding a mistake ever, because I was like, okay, you had mentioned how satisfying it must have been to map out the escape room thing. That's this kind of thing where it's like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm just doing it. How many lights are on, how many lights turn off, that kind of thing. And it was so satisfying to get to the end and be like, they're 25 off. It's just, they're absolutely off in this. And I because by the way that is set up is diagonally.
Yeah.
Like, and so like I'm trying to like count rows and kind of guess how many are, you know, back there. Plus I have to kind of advance it because he's blocking some of them, you know, so he's walking back as they're turning off. And so like, I don't know exactly, but I have, you know, fairly good estimates, but it took a long time. So I'm like writing down, here's how many are in this row. So I'm like writing down each row, you know, so that I'm not like, you know, trying to mess up my count kind of thing and then doing the math at the end. It was a big process. And when you're doing something like that, here's the thing. You convince yourself, even if they are exactly right, you're going to write a sin about this because you've invested too much energy.
Yes.
So you're going to, you know, sin them for making you, you know, do the work or whatever.
It's true. Yeah, even if
but
it
it's
is
so
true.
much more satisfying when they're wrong.
Yeah.
You know, it's so much more satisfying when they didn't do all their actual, you know, exact homework. Speaking of not doing all your exact homework, I will also mention in this that we sin that they're completely out of order. And I promise you, I looked at that thing just like these, like they're kind of like there's groupings of them that feel like they're close, but no, you go in a line and it's just like jumps from 30 something to 50 something. And if you go up and down, it jumps or whatever. Never occurred to me that it's rowed diagonally.
Why would it be?
From the top to the bottom? Like, so immediately upon posting, there were people who are like, oh no, it's in order. It's diagonal. You're absolutely right. That's 100% a green. You know, that is, you know, you are absolutely correct. We just totally missed that. But yeah, we probably still would have sinned it for being so confusing. But,
the other problem is,
no, it is in order.
Why would it be down there? Because from an aerial view, it makes sense, but nobody's at an aerial view. Everyone's at ground level. That is so hard to read if you're in the room with it. It's made for us, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah. There is an argument, just to be argumentative, that it may be made for viewers. Maybe there are cameras in there for the VIPs or whoever's watching, you know, like, so, you know, it's possible. But
in the final episode, I won't spoil that for Jonathan, sorry.
Yeah, no, there you go. That was my research on counting Squid Game lights. All right, let's move into the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We'll each pick a comment from last week's content from the various places you reach out: Discord, YouTube, Reddit, the videos, etc. Mine has already been touched on. I had a comment about the extended cut. Lasan says the extended cut, in my opinion, is superior. It's a completely different film, but it makes more sense. It's such a shame that they changed it. And then I think there's like a 30 to 40 comment conversation below that of people talking about it. So yeah.
I think they're right. I mean, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say superior, because that kind of implies that it's good. But I mean, in my opinion, you know, that would imply that I'm saying it's good. So I would say it's good, but it probably is better. And it's definitely just kind of fascinating just to see what they did differently.
Yeah. Ian, what about you?
So it's a really simple one. Should I write kids' movies? And this is from Meet the Robinsons. And once somebody just said no. That is a definite and firm no. Jeremy or anybody writing for the Sins team should not be writing movies. That is a categorical no. And then a couple of nitpicking the nitpickers of the nitpickers. The name Side Biok means dawn. Gihan isn't saying her name is pretty. He's just saying that her name doesn't match her personality. And I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, we sinned the fact that he went for the double factor of, hey, you've got a pretty name, and also you're not pretty. Now, I think that's a bit of a leap, that saying he was referring to her personality, and I think that's probably being almost, even though it's still a shitty thing to say, that's being generous, and I'm still, he's still a dick. The sin still stands regardless for me.
Yeah, I think I'd categorize that as red, maybe slightly orange if you want to head towards yellow.
Let's not confuse this anymore.
But no, I think you're right. I think it's terrible either way. Like, it's not, you know, it's, yeah, I'm not sure that changes the heart of what that sin is saying. So yeah.
And last one was, there should be, for escape room, somebody said that we missed a sin, that there should be 2 locks on each of the safety deposit boxes because real safe deposit boxes require 2 keys. And the best answer I saw to this was, yeah, but real banks also don't have lasers. And it's just that sort of point that this is not an actual bank, this is an escape room.
Yeah, it's an escape room.
Therefore, the rules can be... Yeah. And of all of the rules that this movie invents for itself, that's the one I will forgive, because, okay, It has one lock.
Well,
fine.
It's immediately argumentative. Yeah, you know, we could form that into a sin. They're not wrong. We can sin whatever we want. We sin things that aren't sins all the time. Like that's it's
but
part of the
fun. We
fun.
try not to be too argumentative about stuff like that.
Right, because then it's just like, you know, I mean, if there's a great joke there, maybe, you know, but just saying there should be 2 locks on here, it's like, well, no, it's an escape room that's been designed. It's not an actual bank. So yeah. Yep, I agree. Jonathan, what about you?
Well, mine was from Escape Room 2. B said about 9 minutes into this video, one of the sins is that Zoe says that the group was all lone survivors, but Zoe and Ben aren't lone survivors and nobody questions that. That was the sin that we wrote. In reference to the escape room from the previous film, they both survived the escape room. But this person says she was simply referring to the fact that she was the only survivor from a plane crash and Ben was the only survivor from his car crash. I guess that's supposed to be what the movie's saying. I will say I did go back and look at it. And Zoe has a line that says the rooms were tailored around all of our accidents. My problem with this, though, is that they don't know about the other people, like what they've gone through. So I don't know how she would even come to that conclusion. And the way she says it in the movie, it definitely sounds like she's talking about they each survived the escape room. So I guess that's why I was looking at it that way, because we didn't know what had happened to these people. And I don't even know if, I mean, we knew the guy talked a little bit about being a priest and having some issues, but I don't know. I maybe I'm wrong. I mean, and I think this person is right in that that's what the movie intended that to be. But now I have like so many more questions about like, well, then why would they have phrased it that way? But you know, I'm not afraid to admitting that was definitely the movie's intention, and I got that wrong.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Let's move into Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
We're just going to chat about something else from the world of pop culture that we've seen recently. Jonathan, kick us off. What have you seen?
So I saw this movie. I don't know how new it is. It's 2021, but I don't know when it dropped on Hulu. But it is a movie I randomly just found out about over the holidays called We Need to Do Something. And so I watched it. It's a pretty short film. I think it's only like 90 minutes or so. But it's got one of those like premises that I always find interesting, where you've got like this family and they're trapped in one area for, you know, the length of the film. And so pretty much everything we see is from that area. So did I already say that? So this is called We Need to Do Something from 2021. It's got Pat Healy and Vanessa Shaw play the parents. I love both of them very much. Vanessa Shaw is probably most known as being the young girl and not the youngest girl, but the girl that the main character is attracted to in Hocus Pocus. You know, and then Pat Healy's is just a character actor. He's been in so many movies. I don't even know where to start, but you'd recognize him if you saw him. They play the parents of these two kids. I don't think I've ever seen these kids in anything else. They're both quite good too, but they have hunkered down in this really nice bathroom during a storm. And quickly after they're in there, they hear a loud noise and come to find out whatever is going on out there has come, like the storm has gone through their roof and a tree has crashed into their house. And it has essentially blocked them into the bathroom. They can't get the door open. So the rest of the movie is just them in there. There's like in a lot of these movies, there's some pre-existing drama with the family that starts rearing its ugly head, I guess. And then you're also trying to figure out but then things start happening, to where you're questioning about, was it just a storm that did this? Is there, you know, something a little more evil afoot, that kind of thing. I thought it was really well done. It's really well paced. It lays its plot out in a really interesting way. All the acting's good. As much as we make fun of jump scares, there is easily one of the best jump scares I've ever seen in a movie. I will just say it involves a voice from outside the bathroom. And it was like one of those moments where I actually audibly, like, not shrieked. I don't know what you would call it, but I audibly did something. Yeah. And which eventually turned into laughter just because it just caught me so off guard. It's just a crazy moment.
Nice. It is nice when it works. It is.
I don't get moments like that much anymore. The last time I remember in A Quiet Place, the first one. Of course, that was like I was in the theater and it was super quiet because everybody's watching this movie that there's no sound in. And then I remember right when I saw that nail and her foot coming down, I was just like, oh hell no. And it was so loud when I said it because everyone was so quiet in the theater, and then people just started laughing. But it was very much kind of one of those moments, and it was really cool. But no, I recommend this. I don't think this is really on a lot of people's radars. Like I said, I just randomly heard about it. So I don't know. I think it's definitely worth checking out. It's a cool little like one-room thriller. It's definitely got some horror elements to it, but it falls mostly in, I would say, that thriller department. But I had a lot of fun with it, and that's
nice.
We need to do something.
I'll go next. Just trying to knock off a few more 2021 movies before I do my official list for the year. I watched a French film called Petite Maman, which translated is Little Mother. And I don't want to say a ton about this movie. I really enjoyed it. It's very artistic. So if like this is not an action film, like what is compelling about this is relational, emotional, and visual. So and conceptual. There's some conceptual things going on here, which is one of the reasons I don't necessarily want to talk too much about it. It is in French, and I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to pass it on. Nice. There's nowhere you can see this, so apologies.
Wait,
but
what?
Will be soon, I'm sure.
Yes, but I'm sure very soon you'll be able to get it on demand or something like that.
This is the director of Portrait of a Lady on Fire?
Correct, yes.
Okay, is that right? Yeah, I'm dying to see this.
Yeah, so Portrait of a Lady on Fire was, I think, last year. Just an absolutely gorgeous movie and absolutely beautiful. And it's clear that there's a lot of that same talent at work here. This one is, I'll just say, a little simpler. It's also 79 minutes. Ooh. So, it's a nice quick
that got me
watch.
excited.
I love that. I love that so much.
And it's probably, I don't know if it's, I don't remember what it's rated, but it seems like it could even be PG. It's just a very simple, quick, story. So yeah, I would recommend it, just with the caveat of, you're watching art. You're, with this one, you're not watching, something like Fast and Furious, that. Or as it's called in French, Les Fast and Les Furious. Nice. I don't know if. So, Ian, what about you?
Mine's going to be really, really quick because it's something to talk about that needs no spoiling, and it's in and of itself, which has been heavily, heavily recommended to me by everyone on the planet that watches things that has watched it. And it just went on to Disney Plus. I know it's been out in the States for a while, but it just landed in England last week.
And in the States, it's on Hulu, just to be clear. But yes. Yeah.
No, let's not. That makes no sense because you have Disney Plus, but the international rights. Oh, never mind. This is amazing. It's to call it a magic show isn't doing it justice at all. It's more along the lines of Derren Brown and something a bit more, without being snobby, intellectual. It's not a bunch of tricks and flashing explosions. There's a lot of illusion and misdirection that's extremely entertaining to watch, but there's a narrative through the 90 minutes that is so special and deals with identity, and I'm not going to say anything more than that, but it's not a light ride, but it is so worth watching. Just, it tells you in the first 3 seconds, please put down your phone, put away any distractions, and just focus on the story. And that's my biggest recommendation going in, is that it's only 90 minutes, but give yourself over to it. And just be prepared. Like, it is a ride. It's something that you're likely to come out of quite emotional. It's incredible. It's so good.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. I've said it, I think, on this show before. It is one of my favorite things I saw in 2021. If it had counted for, some sort of awards consideration this year, then I would have probably done that. But it's almost like any way you describe it isn't quite enough. You could call it a one-man show, but that's almost diminishes it even a little bit. You could call it, a magic show, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's really like a philosophical contemplation of some really deep themes using illusion and some other things.
Is it a spook show?
No
jump scares.
Because Guillermo del Toro taught us this year you don't want to do a spook show.
That's
or
true.
Last year, I guess.
Yeah. There's some spooky things that will certainly have you scratching your head. But also, I guess it's worth mentioning this is a live show that he did on Broadway, I think, or at least in New York City, for a period of
552
around a year.
52 shows.
Oh yeah, so probably a couple of years.
Yeah.
And that adds, and that this recording is from many of those shows. So like, it's not like, and it's not trying to make you think that it's all one show, because it's actually using editing in some ways that make it clear that it's showing you different shows. But it was, so this was an actual experience that people had, including people you probably know. You will actually see some people in the audience that you know during this that you might recognize. Bill Gates comes to mind. I think he's in this, and some others as well.
David Blaine?
I believe, yes, David Blaine is in the audience as well. Yeah,
he's not on screen for long, and I was like, wait, but that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's several of those moments. But yeah, it's in and of itself. That is on Hulu. Petite Maman is currently in some theaters. If you live in a bigger city, maybe you can find it. Otherwise, it should be available on demand soon. And We Need to Do Something is available on Hulu. Well, that's going to do it for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us. P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You can also hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. He is at WitsIn.
WHITTSINNED.
Question mark?
Put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
And at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Ian Whittington, a random Danae Hughes, an octopus butler, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy National Take a Poet to Lunch Day.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com, and be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
Why do we still have daylight savings?
It's a great question. Technically, we don't. We have daylight saving.
That's true.
But yeah, it's just...
You jerk.
He froze.
Okay, that's not just me. Okay, good.
No, Ian has frozen.
Oh no, am I back?
You're back
Okay,
now.
Cool.
Yes,
that was really weird. 1 second. I know exactly.
Yeah, where have you been, man? It's been 5 days.
I just lost all of that time.
I don't know why we've been sitting here. We would have had to have been sitting here for 5 days for that to work, but
It's just like, man, you froze for 5 days.
Next week.
This could be Friday. Yeah, this could be Friday.
Just stay still for next week. Right. Aaron, you're an arse, because at the bottom of the description for BTS, and you write, and a something. I wrote, a sudden Danae, deleted it because I didn't want it to be a spoiler, and then wrote Octopus Butler. You got both of my endings. I'm going back to square one.
Are you recording right now?
No.
You're messing with your microphone?
Yes, because I'm changing the thing. I'm not touching it. I'm not moving the position. I promise.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I apologize that my anger towards you touching microphones has you so jumpy, but I was just letting you know that at one point in time you muted it, and I don't know if
I know, and I unmuted it immediately.
I just missed
really
what you were saying. You're fine. Oh my God, you're so scared of me. I love it.
PTSD when it comes to mic moving.
Don't fucking touch the microphone.
Stop fucking touching it.
What is on the show today? What are you guys talking about today?
We have got What If the Watcher Broke His Oath? Squid Game Stick to the Team. Okay. Escape Room Tournament of Champions, and Meet the Robinsons, which was me and you.
Oh my God, I wrote on that one.
Yeah, you
Fuck
did.
That movie. You have to go hard at this movie. You have to do it for us, Ian.
So here's the problem. It's already been forgotten completely. Nobody remembers this film. So the only people chiming up in the YouTube comments were like, oh, it's an underrated classic. It's great. Nobody talks about this movie. So I'm shitting on something that everyone knows is not good, and I'm just piling on. I want to root for the underdog, but it's just not good.
Well, there's rooting for the underdog, and then there's rooting for a pile of shit.
Yeah, that's true. But you root for me.
Wait. Where did you just place yourself on that spectrum?
It's up to you. I'm either the underdog or the pile of shit.
But isn't there other choices on this gradient, on this sliding scale? Okay,
I don't know. Where do you put me?
Well, now that we're conversing about it awkwardly.
Mm-hmm. Great time to take a big old sip of tea / coffee / oat milk.
I was just asking Ian to please shit on Meet the Robinsons because I hate that movie. It doesn't...
Well, hey, we're recording right now. Why don't you just go ahead? You do your thing. Just say, I'll put it in the outtakes. People will love it. Tell us how terrible it is.
The last 10 minutes has been us shitting on Meet the Robinsons for the outtakes.
So let me just tell you what I think about this movie real quick.
Yeah,
These are things I want you to talk about. I want you to talk about the horrible, abusive woman who ran that orphanage, who should be under investigation for being terrible at what she was doing. To think about what she was putting the children through blows my mind. And that the little bitty, what was that kid's name with like the dark circles under his eyes?
So that's Michael or Goober.
Michael. That's what I was going to say. I remember it because it's burned.
Goobs.
So he's so like abused or something, and no one seems to be paying any attention. Of course, then he's apparently the bad guy who has a totally different nose structure. Glad you found that, Ian. Like the whole thing is just this casual idea that children are responsible. This is such a me thing, but like that children are held responsible for things that adults should be responsible for because children cannot perceive. It happens throughout the entire movie. Like adults turn their back on children so many times, and it's like it drives me crazy because they should know that they have a mentor or someone that can help care for them. But this movie isn't about that. It's about the feeling of I've got to save the world on my own because there's nobody else that can help me, and there's not an appropriate adult in this entire thing. Like it just the wacky moment of watching this movie. This is one of those moments that, like, so Ian and I got to watch this movie together because we sinned it while he was in the U.S. So we actually got to sit down and watch this film
that was
together.
So fun. Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun. We started it and we were making notes, as the movie went on. We weren't stopping and sinning as we went because that would be really, really frustrating and annoying. But we watched it all the way through. And the moment when this movie kicks over into Cornelius, whatever the hell that means, when he arrives as a child to the Robinsons Looney Tunes mansion, it was Ian and I just for a solid 5 or 10 minutes going, what the fuck is going on? Because it kicks into this sort of like LSD induced craziness. And I think that was the fun of probably watching this when you're a kid, is that it's just like, oh, a giant octopus opened the door. That's really interesting. But is this the real world? And we're saying that because Cornelius turned into an inventor, that suddenly there's sentient frogs that are singing and octopi answer. This is not the real world. This is insanity. So it was a very hard thing to then take seriously at all. And I don't think we're supposed to, but I tried to take some seriously to figure out where do I ground in on this? What is this movie? And this movie is dumb across the board. And I don't know that I would say much else.
Well, there you go. I look forward to talking about how much I love Meet the Robinsons later on the show.
No. This movie says if you are quirky and an inventor, there is a purpose for you and you can make mistakes, and that's a wonderful thing, except for emotionally, because as soon as these children make emotional mistakes, they are completely abandoned. Fuck this movie.
100%. And that's
terrible.
Poor kid is left in the orphanage for years.
He's just left there alone.
A closed orphanage.
It's terrible.
But you like it?
But it doesn't make the movie bad just because something terrible happens to a child.
Something terrible happens to people. Are you saying in the Lord of the Rings movies, nothing terrible happens to anyone in those movies? A lot of terrible stuff happens to people in those movies.
Nothing happens to
Harry Potter lives under stairs, man. Like,
it's not that it's terrible. It's just illogical. Like,
yeah, you know what else is illogical? Living in a world that's animated. I've seen it once. I remember thinking it was fine.
Stop.
We'll talk about it during the show.
Can we talk about it now? Can you just it's showtime. I gotta go. You guys have fun.
You can just, you can hang out for the show if you want
and
today.
then just come in for Meet the Robinsons, and then you guys can eviscerate.
You want.
Okay, yeah, I'll just hang out in the background.
I'm still with you.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah.
Good luck. Well, why do you have a wicker bowl filled with orange? It's not even real. It's not.
No, it's faux wicker. Yeah. It's a boat. It's plastic. It's a plastic wicker boat and that was filled with orange segments. Two whole oranges. Why is this so strange? I have like 5 of these.
You have 5 wicker bowls.
5 wicker baskets.
But I just don't understand that that's not a bowl. I mean, I guess technically it's a bowl.
It's great for chips. Great for noodles. That's about it.
So you purchased 5 plastic wicker bowls encased.
Yeah. What do you mean? No, not just in case. I knew I was going to use them. It's not like shit in case of emergency, break glass for wicker bowl.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm jealous about it or not.
We have to wait. I'll bring one with me or... Yeah, you'll have to come and see them.
You're going to bring... Wait, hold on. No. There's no reason to pack that in your bag.
Well, done. Too late. I've done it now. It's already in my bag. I may even pack 2 so I can leave one behind.
Can you go ahead and purchase 5 more and then just leave them at all of these CinemaSins houses? Like, when we go visit Nashville, you just like
Chris
leave
finds one. Like one of his cats is sat inside it.
That's a huge bowl. That's too big. Or a really tiny cat.
No. The cats just fit. Cats just fit inside. Like, it'll be overlapping all of the sides.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are you sat on? Like, what? Is this a fucking plastic wicker basket?
A little cat loaf.
Yes.
Just like...
Where else do you put your cats? But no, my parents have loads of them as well. And I never guessed. I never thought
so
they
it's
were
like
weird.
a Whittington thing.
Well, I don't think we're the only family that has them. I'll put a picture up
I've never seen anybody
somewhere.
have a wicker basket bowl.
Really? No, it's really nice. Makes you feel fancy. Like, they're great for, like, prawn crackers and biscuits and, like, a chip bowl. Because
Can you please tell me that you... Do you have, like, your cereal in them?
No.
You have a serving dish instead of a bowl. Casual everyday use, casual snack goes into, like, a regular casual bowl. Yours is like this wicker serving boat, and you have slices of orange in it for yourself.
But it's not big enough to be like a serving thing. It's great for like sharing, but not for serving.
Can I ask you guys to weigh in on something that doesn't matter at all?
Yes, please.
Okay,
go ahead.
Ian, will you please present to them
what
your orange container?
What?
Will you just show them your orange container?
I've just got some oranges.
Oh, I saw all this.
Oh, damn it, Jonathan. I was going to like...
Yes, Jonathan. Yes.
No, I completely agree. That is very, very strange. I've never seen anything like that. You can put fruit in a fruit basket, but it's more for like to pull out of and then put into a proper eating container. Like but
it's not big enough for that.
He did.
Anything?
He did say that he had 2 full oranges that he segmented, and so I can understand that being in a bowl instead of on a plate. I usually put my oranges and some of it on a plate, but
they weren't satsumas.
I was really, really distracted by the bowl. That's not even a bowl. It's a boat.
Not a bowl. That's what I'm saying.
It's a boat.
Even if it was a bowl, that's still a little weird. But that is not a bowl. That is some sort of weird boat.
Do bowls
that is like some sort of weird plastic basket boat. Yeah. Maybe you make a banana split in that kind of thing. But
yes, banana split, perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, that's the only if you need like the length of your banana to be captured.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, point 1. I've only found 2 of the missing 4 segments of orange. I'm sure it will start smelling bad at some point, and then I'll know. And 2, do bowls have to be circular? Why can't they be boat-shaped?
Those are boats. Let me be clear about my practice when I peel an orange and put it into slices. I use a paper towel, and I bring it down in a paper towel, which I can kind of crumple up, and then I set it on my desk on a paper towel. That's how I eat food.
Paper towels, you're going to leak through. It's going to leak through onto the desk.
You tear the onion, you open the orange and over a trash can, because that way you can throw the peel in the trash can, and then you take the peel, you take the orange that you have separated, and you put it in a bowl. And then you take that bowl, you set that bowl on your desk, because then nothing gets anywhere.
Yeah, why? And you say wasting a bowl.
Then a plate.
Like, how much more effort is it to clean up a bowl compared to a plate? It's the same thing.
Aaron's eating habits like irritate me to death.
This is true. Jonathan is not wrong. You should never trust me, in my opinion, on eating habits. I'm weird. I am very strange.
We can't.
Yeah, don't trust me.
Well, if we know anything now, it's just that everyone eats things differently, and we can judge each other, and at the end of the day, still care about each other deeply.
No, fuck you, people. I'm out of here.
I'm just still not sure. Here's the thing that started the conversation. I don't know where I would get whatever that is that Ian has. Like, I've never even seen one of those things.
This is what I wanted to talk about. Ian is holding.
That looks like something you'd put potpourri in a bathroom or something. Yeah. Like, I've literally never seen anything like for food.
You can do that if you want. That's fine. Just don't get it confused. Make sure you clean it first.
At Ian's house, when you go to Ian's house, he has a set of 5. One is in the kitchen. One is on the back of the toilet.
Okay. I'm completely on board now. I love this game.
I have never seen one of those.
I've never seen one of those.
Like, that is not something that you buy in sets of. How many do you have, Ian?
5. What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it. It's just interesting. Feels the same to me as if I came in here eating oranges out of a tissue box.
Some bullshit.
Like, it's just like,
that's ridiculous. Right. What is this meant for? Somebody invented this.
For a restaurant. Yeah, like French fries, chips, like you said earlier.
Right, okay, so why French fries are not oranges?
I don't know. This is why I was saying before everybody got here.
This is what we're trying to
interrogate. I don't understand why it's so strange to me, but it is.
I don't understand why you don't put a liner in it, though, because you're just going to get orange shit on the basket, and it's going to be hard to clean off. Where do you don't throw that in the dishwasher?
Oh my God.
It's plastic. Yeah.
I thought it was like woven. It looks like a basket.
Nope. It's plastic.
It's plastic.
Oh, then yeah, I'm with Aaron. I don't know where you'd find that.
God damn it. Oh. I'm done.
Yeah.